Speaking of game changers, how about Lehigh University taking out Duke? Who picked that on their bracket? Please pick my bracket next year because you're the only person who got that right, man. And I was talking to a friend of mine. I mean, I love March Madness. I'm absolutely into it. And one of the reasons I'm into it is because every year this kind of stuff happens. And we were talking about specifically schools that seem to do that over and over again. You know, Gonzaga for years has been kind of this small mid-conference school. I never bet against Gonzaga in the first round because they're going to win. No matter who they're playing, they're going to win. And what we talked about was how these schools cultivate a culture of belief. They actually believe that they are David and that they can take on Goliath. And in this series, Game Changers, we're looking at people who share those kinds of traits because we are a David. As a community of Crossroads, 18 months ago, we started a game change financial campaign to go against 4 Goliath-sized challenges that God called us to be a part of. Some of us, this is encouragement. We're already in on the campaign. If you're brand new, I want you to know at the end of this 6-week series, you're going to have a chance to financially invest in what God is doing in and through this community. And today, I want to talk about this. I want you to know that God has a game-changing vision for the city of Cincinnati. You know, this idea of vision and the power of vision is captured in a principle in the Bible. It's just a spiritual principle that vision is so important. Proverbs 29:18 puts it this way: where there is no prophetic vision, the people cast off restraint. Another translation says, without vision, the people perish. And I want you to know, God has a vision that you're invited into for this city. It's a God-sized vision. It's a God-sized vision, and it will change you, and it will change Cincinnati. It starts at home. It starts right here in Cincinnati. So how do we engage the city? How do we get in line with what God is doing, this God-sized vision of the city? What is his vision for the city? Well, we get a clear picture of that in an old story of the nation of Israel who found themselves trapped in a city they didn't want to be in. See, at the time, Babylon was the strongest power on the earth, strongest city in the earth. It was the Babylonians who ruled at that time. And they had taken captive many Israelites and brought them into the city of Babylon. And that's what they would do. That was their strategy because they were trying to cross-pollinate cultures to make their empire even greater. And so Israel finds themselves, again, in an ungodly city, people who don't care about the God of the Bible, don't care about their religious traditions. And they're expecting that God, like he did in Egypt, is going to bring them out of Babylon. And they're hoping he does that right quickly. And in the midst of that, God uses another prophet, Jeremiah, to be a mouthpiece and reframe his vision for Babylon and the vision he had for his people. And Jeremiah 29 says this: this is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says to all those I carried into exile from Jerusalem to Babylon. God's taking ownership for the reason they're there. And he says, build houses and settle down, plant gardens and eat what they produce, marry and have sons and daughters. Find wives for your sons and give your daughters in marriage so that they too may have sons and daughters. He's saying have grandchildren in Babylon. Increase in number there, do not decrease. And he goes on to say also, seek the peace and prosperity of the city to which I have carried you into exile. Pray to the Lord for it, because if it prospers, you too will prosper. See, the vision that God has for the city and the mission he has for people who want to be game changers and be a part of what he's doing, it's encapsulated in another word I want you to learn today. See, there's not 2 words in the Hebrew language for peace and prosperity because the 2 are combined beautifully in one word, in one concept. It's the word shalom. So God's mission, his vision, and the plan that he calls us to be a part of is to seek the shalom of the city, to return Cincinnati to being a city of shalom. He invites us to be a part of it because this is what game changers do. Game changers invest in the restoration of shalom. And that's God's call to you, and it's God's call to me. In whatever sphere of life you're in, whatever place you are, that's what God calls us to. So my question, my challenge for you is just to engage with God about how is he calling you to invest in the shalom in this city? See, the way we're approaching this campaign is a game changer in and of itself. This is not about guilt. Not about guilt. And it's not even about fair share. It's simply about this. It's about us understanding that everything we have belongs to God. Surrendering that to him. Listening for God to tell you specifically how to invest in the shalom of this city, and then following through.